Hi, this is Dave Revels, your host of Move That Mountain. Together we'll explore ways of moving that mountain that stands between you and where you need to be.
Greetings, everybody. How you feeling? This is Dave Revels. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. We're going to talk about moving a mountain, and that mountain is whatever stands in your way of what you want to accomplish in life, where you want to be. The pandemic has sure taught us all that we've all had to find a way to move some kind of mountain in our lives. And I think in a way it was a good thing, if you could see it as that it made us all stop to think about where we want to be, what do we want to do with our lives. And so today we're going to talk about that a little bit. We can talk about the fact that the pandemic has really put a lot of stress on individuals and families. Many people have lost their jobs, their livelihood. And for some, it didn't affect them like that because they were essential workers, so they were able to maintain working. Albeit they did have the stress of going out into the world at the height of the pandemic to provide us with resources, food for the supermarket workers, the delivery men and women, hospital workers, first responders, all those things. And they got to commend each and every one of them for having the bravery to go out there knowing that it was a rolling the dice every day. So I think that's the closest we're going to know what it's like to be in combat. So really, let's give these people a cheer and never forget it. But for those of us who were told to stop everything, completely shut down our lives, that was shocking news and devastating for a lot of people. I'm in the arts, and anyone in the arts knows how we went from 100 to 0 in 24 hours. And everything we were doing, every plan we had in place, all the ambitions we had just stopped. What do you do then? So now you're faced with that first big mountain. You know, what now? When you're told you can't do shows, you can't perform, you have to find something. And for most people, you still have to have an income. You still have to bring money in. Many artists, that's all it did was art. And now that's the first mountain that those folks had to do. What else can I do to earn a living? So that's what we're talking about when faced with an obstacle. How do you adapt to it? As far as mountains, let's start with the first thing in any mountain. The first and biggest mountain is yourself. You're that mountain. You have to get past the block that will keep you from realizing any other avenue you can use. Because, you know, when you've been doing one thing for an entire lifetime, it's hard to think of what will you do now. You know, and so that first obstacle and mountain is yourself. And there's a thing called looking at the man in the mirror. You know, I can give you an exercise to show you just how little you know yourself. Stand before a mirror, one of those high definition mirrors or magnifying mirrors, and actually look at your face. Every wrinkle, every blemish, every nuance, every gray hair, where everything is lies on your face. Just really examine yourself, and you'd be surprised just how little you really knew what you look like, because we never really examine ourselves with that, man. Yes, we get up, wash our faces. For men, we shave. For women, it's a makeup and all that. But have you really looked at yourself? I use that example as an exercise to realize if you don't know your own exterior, the other obstacle or the other hidden you is inside, which is, who are you really? You know, what is your motivation for living? What do you want to do with your life? And very few of us want to take that hard look, because it is an unsettling look at times, because you sometimes don't have all the answers, and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to really find the answers of things that you can't even formulate. So I say try that external exercise, then use it for the guide to turn within yourself. Now I say that because of the pandemic. Everyone had to find a way to land on their feet like a cat. So for many people who didn't do a 9-to-5 job, suddenly they had to scramble to find something to earn a living. That's a scary proposition. And or if people at the arts, a lot of them are waiters and they work service fields, and those things went away. So there's the depression that takes place, and we've all been there. You know, as an artist, I can relate to what I'm saying here, where I had to find new avenues. Now, first of all, one of the first steps in trying to help yourself is to not dwell on the things you did, because remember, it's past tense. You know, I've got a laundry list of things I've done. There are photos in here you'll see when I was a member of the Drifters, toured the world for years. Uh, Remember the Persuasions, and all those things I did. They were great to look back on, but they're not helping me now. So the first thing I had to do is, well, what am I going to do now? So for me, it was art. You know, realizing for the first time that something I always wanted to do and focus on, which was my recording career. I sort of let that lay for a while I worked in every other production with Bare Naked Ladies from Canada, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame group from Canada, with the Persuasion, where we did a double album set in 2017. Worked with Steve Van Zandt from the E Street Band, Bruce Springsteen Band. You know, did several tracks on his album, Soulfire. But all the things were the past. With the last thing really coming around in 2017, 18, 19. But then it all stopped. And what do you do with yourself at that point? For many people right now, they're faced with really tough decisions. Let's talk about the hard stuff. You know, people got to pay rent, got to pay mortgage, got to pay the utilities. Well, you know, this is where you have to become humble, where you have to do whatever you need to do to keep what I call grease the wheels of your life. And it could be a manual work, it could be anything, but you have to seek those things out. Because remember, as long as some income comes in, it takes stress off you and your household. Sometimes we can be very proud of having to do something that's not in the profession we wanted to do, but you have to do what you must do to survive. You know, so the biggest thing, like I said right now, is adaptation. We all have to learn to adapt. The hard truth is many jobs will not come back, or there'll be less people doing it. So now you have to do what I call another exercise, which is take a sheet of paper, and on a sheet of paper, ask yourself, what is my worth? What is my worth? What are my assets? What do I do good? What do I really excel at? And what do I think I can excel at? Write it down on paper, look at it, and ask yourself, what skills do you have to do that? And how are you going to accomplish it? And it's called the what if moment, you know? That's a picture of me and Layla from Bat Boy, Ray Negron story, Yankee Miracles. That was a fantastic opportunity. We were doing that up until the pandemic. Incredibly talented woman. But back to that sheet of paper. And list on a sheet of paper all the things you are good at. All the things you thought you wanted to do. And then ask yourself, what of those things do I have any skill in? How can I, if you do have a beginning understanding of it, how can I hone it? The beauty about the internet, if it's not worth anything else, is that if you have a question and you type in that question, an answer will pop up. It's like the old days of the genie behind the glass booth, or with that. You remember the 8-ball with the numbers and change, and you shake it and the answer came up. Well, the internet is that genie, and it literally does have an answer to so many things, or at least it'll put your mind to thinking. Just the other day, I ran into a young lady. She's from Dominican Republic. She must have been 16 years old, 17 years old. And she wanted to go to school, and she didn't have the money, really. Her mom tried to help. She's working, but it's still a struggle. She really wanted to study. So I said to her, I said, have you typed in, I said, open your phone and type in Dominican Republic associations that provide scholarships to young students. She wrote it from me and boom, a lot of things popped up. So just like that, her whole world opened up just by me making a suggestion. That's a suggestion I make to everybody. Whatever question you have, it may not be the exact answer, but it'll spur you to find another answer. Type it in. Type it into the internet box, because there's so much input into the internet that if you literally have thought of something, somebody else has either done it, have put it to the test, field tested it, and it worked. And they're what I call living roadmaps, living atlases to what you can do to find your answer. So these are some of the inventive things you can do to try to find an answer for yourself, or at least spur you on to another question that might get more detail and another answer will pop up. So you do have a living, breathing, and yes, it is living and breathing that internet, because I think it's breathing on its own now. So you do have that as an option. So I suggest doing that. But in the meantime, really start to examine yourself and who you are, because with the pandemic, an interesting thing happened. Prior to the pandemic, I'm talking about the silver linings now, because I believe in optimism. I believe in finding solutions rather than just pointing the problems at you. Prior to the pandemic, people would always say, man, I really want to do this thing, but I just don't have the time. I've got to go to work. I got to get up this early in the morning. I got to get back on the train. I got to go to work. So I can't do it now. Well, lo and behold, comes the pandemic. The entire world shut down. That was the golden opportunity, because for once in your entire existence, you did not have to get up to anybody's clock. No one expected you to get up to anybody's clock, and you were given a pass, breathing room, to be your own self for a moment. Those of us who were pre-cell phones and pagers and all that knew what it was like to have that freedom, where if we needed to disconnect from the world for a day or two, we just didn't call anybody. And nobody questioned you. Nobody said, where are you? Because they realized it would take some time, a day or two, to get to you, or to get an answer from people, or you have to send a letter, wait a week for the answer, or call long distance and all that. But with the advance of the internet, all those things are taken from you. Freedoms you didn't know you had were lost. And if you never knew them, you didn't even know you lost them. But the pandemic came along and you were given this free opportunity to rethink for yourself. Many people did. So one of my predictions is that there are going to be a lot of innovative things created or come to light within the next 12 months to 2 years, because a lot of people started tinkering on ideas they had. I call it the God spark, that what if moment in life, where you say, hey, what if I did it this way? And then they started thinking about it and tinkering along, and lo and behold, something new and innovative is created. So for those of us who didn't catch that first wave, believe it or not, you still have time. Because even though it appears that the world is fully ramped up, it is not. There's still a lot of false starts and stops, and there's still a lot of baby steps to be taken. So you still have time to really look at yourself, think about where you want to go in life, and think about how you're going to get there. And as far as getting there, you have to stay the course. Because here's what happens when you have a vision of what you want to be. You see the vision, but in the same breath of seeing the vision, you also see the amount of work involved to get there. That is where people falter, because the amount of work that they realize they have put into it scares them off of it. And they begin to find reasons as to why they shouldn't, because they'll never be able to really follow through and everything. And there's also a thing, you may have heard of a thing called waiting to get all your ducks in line when you're going to do a plan. You know, get all your ducks in a row. But I say poo-poo to that. Why? Because who owns those ducks you're trying to line up? Do you own them? Those ducks are relying on somebody else placing that duck in place of you so that you can get to where you want to go. So that duck is removed from your neat little row. What now? So you have to learn to adapt. You have to learn to move on ideas before all your ducks are so-called lined up in a row, because they may never be. There's never really an ideal moment to take what I call the leap of faith. Life truly is a leap of faith. And that leap of faith is you. You have to have that leap of faith in yourself. You are the key. Nothing else. You are the key. You must take that leap of faith. And so what if you don't achieve it the first time? And I say the first time because you're going to keep trying. The old adage about a baseball player, that's me with the Drifters when I was a young guy. Charlie Thomas, Lady Ellsbury Hobbs, and Michael Race and myself. We toured all over the globe. That was Cousin Bruce's show on television, TV one time. But anyway, as I was saying, you have to take the leap of faith. And the first time you may fail, but like baseball players, the most successful batter, they miss more than they hit. They strike out more than they hit. But yet they're superstars. So what does that tell you? You're going to fail, okay? Or you're going to not succeed. Let's not use the word fail. You're going to not succeed in that first time or the second time. But you got to keep trying, because every time you try, you learn something new. But the key thing is not to repeat the same error that you made the first time, which again means you have to examine yourself, what you're doing, and figure out what works and what didn't work. That's years later with Charlie Thomas from the Drifters and my business partner, David Backer from Shadow of the 60s and Soul of America. But the point is, you can't be afraid to fail, okay? You can't be afraid to not succeed at something. It's going to happen. I mean, for all the things I've achieved, I have an equal, if not more times when it didn't work. It's like love. First time you fall in love and it didn't work out. Okay, you're sad for a while, you're depressed, but sooner or later somebody else comes along, you wake up to the charms of love again, and bam, you're back in love. Well, if you just got into a hole and never peeked your head out to look up to see if anybody else is around, you would never have a second chance at love. Same thing with your life. But remember the thing about life, something is very important. Time. I want you to think about time. Because time is the one thing in the bank that every day is subtracted from your bank and you cannot get it back. So my statement to you is this: use your time wisely, which means every single day, if you say there's something you want to do, you must make sure that before your head hits the pillow that night, that you do at least one thing to draw closer to your goal. It doesn't matter how small that is. It could be like what I said, you go on the internet and research something towards your goal. Make a phone call to someone. Send an email to someone, okay? Work on an idea. That was 1985, Motown returns to the Apollo Theater, Temptation, Four Tops, Manhattans, and the Cadillacs. And of course the Drifters, that I was a member of back then, 1985. And that was the same day my first child was born. I went back from the hospital to Apollo Theater to film that. So when you saw that footage, which is available on the internet, I was a daddy for the first time. But time, extremely important to you, you understand? Because it is a bank that is, you make a withdrawal every day of your life. And you can't get time back. You simply cannot. A good example of that, not to be morbid, but it's like someone who's gravely ill and know they're going to pass away. No matter of what they want, they can't buy another second of time. Well, while you're living, understand that principle and value life, value time. And the other thing about time, part of being successful in life is valuing other people's time. Very important, because remember, that was the Persuasions on The View with Whoopi Goldberg with the Persuasions and John Legend. That was a wonderful day. John Legend, such a wonderful man, magnanimous, such a humble person. Glad I met him. But you have to value other people's time. Because remember, every time they spend or do something on your behalf, they're subtracting from the bank of their life. And the fact that they're working with you is an honor that you should respect. That is the key to being successful. It's letting everybody you work with understand how much you value their time. It's not all about you, because you cannot succeed alone. You have to have people who are willing to work with you, invest their life time with you. So you must respect that, honor that. Never forget that, because they will remember you for how you treated them. Because that is why sometimes people's phone won't ring a second time, because they squander the opportunity when they work with someone. And more people, what the pandemic taught most people is to value time, truly value their lifetime. So I say to you, keep those things in mind. Now, time is a very tricky thing. I just an exercise I run with people who have trouble managing their time, which is important to manage time. If I said to you, is 1 minute a lot of time? Most people say no. So the exercise is, and I have you do this exercise so you understand what I mean by that. Look at a clock with a second hand, and I want you to start it at 12 and follow that second hand all around to 60 seconds, 1 minute. You can't move, you can't blink, you have to stare at that for the entire minute. I guarantee you at the end of that minute, you realize a minute is a very long time. Why? Because all of a sudden now you're aware of every nanosecond of that minute. Every tick, every second, and every tenth of a second or more, all the way down, infinitesimal, you're aware of just how much time that is. So when I say that to you as a lesson is that when you're doing tasks, learn to manage time. I call it doing a matrix. Slowing down and expanding time, where you can see everything moving in slow motion. And that's part of managing time. So that's true. See, time is at its epicenter of our entire existence. You know, we think of it from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. That we are at work, driving to work, on a bus, the train, walking, time is with us. So, and it is something that is important to be aware of. And that's called managing your time on this earth. Because nothing, the next minute of your life is not promised to you, you understand? So make the most of it. Every moment count in your life. That also goes for how you treat your family members, because all these things I'm talking about is another important factor to this, is having a support system. You must nurture relationships with people. That means your friends, don't be quick to throw your friends away. Your family members, spend quality time with them. Listen to them, okay? Have family meals, which the pandemic certainly taught a lot of people to do, which was to cook at home and sit around a dining table and have a family meal and talk. And you'd be surprised after a while how much they'll all come to look forward to that moment. And the moment you break that day, everybody realizes something is a little different now. So yes, you're going to break it sometime, because now they're getting busy again. We're losing that touch. So I say reignite that flame too. Start having your family meals together again, because all these things are important. These are your foundation to be successful and to be able to weather all the storms that come your way, the mountains that will come before you. You need a team. You need a team. You need your family. You need your friends. You need your colleagues. And you need to learn to have everything work together. That was a pre-pandemic show, Full House. I look forward to seeing those again. But I say all this to prepare you for the fact about how to move mountains, because that's the purpose of the shows. These are the things you need. These are the tools you're going to need to move the mountains. You must have all these tools available to you, and set them out like a carpenter sets out his tools, or a mechanic sets out his tool, or a plumber. You have to have all your tools and know, okay, this does that job, this does that job, and that does that job. So before you start a job, you must have the tools in place. So what I'm saying is, get your tools in place, okay? Prepare yourself if you want to move a mountain. And remember, you can't do it alone. So you got to prepare your team to do that. And your team is your family and friends. And you must talk to people. You must confide in people and discuss things with people. And it'll give you more windows of probabilities, things you could probably do. So that's an important step. Now, the mountains that stand before us. That's first mountain is yourself. All the self-doubts you have, all the insecurities you have, all the doubts you have about your capabilities and your fears. And a big fear is trying something new. Something new is what this pandemic has taught us we all have to do. Something new. You can't keep going on the same way because it's different. No matter what happens after this going forward, things are going to be different. So you have to first address those things within yourself. And I know for a fact how fear works and trying new things are. Just look at the machinery I have. I have a riding lawnmower. It sat in my garage for 2 years before I touched it. 2 years. And then I finally, when I hurt my knee, I finally decided, okay, well, I can't go up and down the back like I want to. So I finally took it out and had a service, and now I'm putting around the yard. I'll post a video that I put a little funny video I did. I posted a while back. I'll post it again. You can see it on my Riding Morris, combined into a soundtrack of one of my songs, a country song of mine. But the situation, that's Stand Up America, my charity organization. That's where I raise money for military and their family members for different events. You can look that up as well. But the point I'm making is, all our lives are going to be facing the mountains, okay? But it's how we handle it. The simple fact is, if there's a mountain before you, you must move it, or else you will not get to your goal. So the first thing I'm addressing is the inner you. This has been fun. I hope it helped you a little bit. And I look forward to the next session, because on this planet, what else can we do? It's not the problem you have to point out, it's the solutions you have to point out to people. Because without pointing people in that direction, nothing means anything. Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure.